Are you ready? I'm ready. All right, then let's do this. Time to take a look back at Week 9 of this 2021 NFL season. See how quickly we can get through all this crap. The Thursday night game, Jets fans hoping that maybe Mike White could do some big things, and of course he goes and gets hurt. That sucks. But Jonathan Taylor for the Colts, he had a massive day, helped the Colts easily dispatch of the Jets 45-30. But props to Josh Johnson for coming in, throwing for over 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns. I know it was kind of in a blowout effort. Damn the Jets for not covering the spread late, but Josh Johnson, it was good to see him have that type of performance for a guy who's been a career journeyman for sure. Switching over to the Sunday action, you had Nick Chubb return into the lineup for the Browns, and he had a big day, 137 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, helped the Browns shit all over the Bungles, 41-16. Gee, it's almost like Cincinnati really wasn't that good. When you're losing to teams like the Bears and the Jets, you probably aren't. Dak was back for the Cowboys that Sunday, but their attack offensively sure the hell wasn't. The Broncos kept them out of scoring any points the first 8 possessions. How the hell does this happen? The Broncos dominated the Dallas Cowboys, beat them 30-16. Just points to like how crazy shit can be from one week to the next in the NFL, and it certainly wasn't the only example of this. Probably one of the ugliest games of the week. I can't imagine anybody watching this and feeling good about having watched it. Feel like you probably need to brush your teeth and take a shower afterwards. You felt so dirty. But the Dolphins behind Jacoby Brissett did enough. They were able to end the skid, slide past the Houston Texans 17-9, and both of these teams still fucking suck. Atlanta tried to do what Atlanta does best, which is piss away a big lead. They actually did piss away an 18-point lead to the Saints, but they were able to rebound late, get a last-second field goal from Coe, and they ended up beating the Saints 27-25 in a big win for them, helping to keep some contact there in the playoff race in the NFC. Darnold's going to Darnold. That shouldn't be a surprise. Mac Jones being a cheap shot artist, though, apparently is. Fuck Mac Jones. That was dirty, period. That said, Patriots moved to 5-4, roll over the Panthers 24-6. The Panthers look like clowns right now for this Darnold crap, and the Patriots, like undercover, like they're looking all right. Winning record with a rookie quarterback. It could be a lot worse spot than they are right now. The Bills on Sunday, I don't know what the hell happened. Josh Allen had 3 turnovers. Josh Allen from the Jags had a big day himself. The Jags defense really just beasted up. What more can you say? Jacksonville gets their second win of the season, 9-6. Buffalo was favored by over 2 touchdowns here, and the Jaguars win. That kind of speaks to how crazy of a week this was. The Vikings, coughed up a 2-touchdown lead, then were able to come back and rally and force overtime, then to only go on to let Baltimore get a game-winning field goal in overtime. Ravens win 34-31, and a lot of Vikings fans are like, when does this Mike Zimmer era end? Yeah, it's because of games like this. Cough up a big lead, get yourself back into a tie ball game, and then find a way to still lose it. Ugh. Justin Herbert threw for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hopkins with a late 29-yard field goal to win it. Chargers beat the Eagles 27-24. Jordan Love's first career start, not exactly anything to write home about. It was kind of rough. Made the Chiefs defense look good, which lets you know just how rough that start was. Chiefs were able to hold off the Packers 13-7 while not looking very impressive themselves, let's be clear. James Conner and Colt McCoy came in and did big things for a Cardinals team that was depleted without Kyler Murray and crew. And you wouldn't have been able to notice, they smashed and comfortably handled the San Francisco 49ers 31-17. And at what point in time did the 49ers stop the bullshit and stop starting Jimmy Garbage Pail? Give me a fucking break here. When is enough enough? What more could you possibly gain from that? The Tennessee Titans on Sunday night in a big surprise. Without Derrick Henry, they jumped on the Rams early, forced some key turnovers, got up on them early, and were able to have more than enough cushion to hold them off. They got a big 28-16 road win in prime time over the Rams. Huge win for the Tennessee Titans, no question about it. And then go into the Monday night game. For three quarters, it sure felt like an awful lot of Bears football. But that fourth quarter was kind of banana batshit crazy. Justin Fields shined in prime time. I don't think there's any question about that. But ultimately, they left too much time on the clock for Big Ben and the Steelers' offense. Chris Boswell with the late field goal. Steelers go on to win 29-27. So Bears fans with any type of passion for the right things are saying, Matt Nagy with another loss. Yes, one loss closer to getting the fuck out of the door. Justin Fields looks really good, giving us hope for the future. Yes, it's a win-win-win all the way around. In terms of winners and losers from week number 9, look at the Cleveland Browns. That was potentially a season-changing win. They didn't just beat the Bungles. They smashed the Bungles. That puts Cincinnati down to 5-4, gives Cleveland a little bit of momentum, helps them to move on from the OBJ saga. That was a big win for them. For Atlanta, too, They came back after choking away that big lead to the Saints, find a way to win. Now all of a sudden Atlanta's sitting there at 4-4, and right now I believe if the season ended, they would be the last team in the playoffs. So that was a pretty big win for them on Sunday. And certainly for the Tennessee Titans too. Like, we know they play in a boo-boo ass AFC South, and they're coming into this road game in prime time against the Rams without Derrick Henry. You're assuming they're in trouble, and we would have assumed wrong because they went out there and they kicked the shit out of the Rams. That's a big win for the Titans. That's a reflection of we might need to start taking them just a little bit more seriously. In terms of some of the big losers of the week, the Buffalo Bills. You were like 15-point favorites, and you lose to the Jags? You lose to the second or third worst team in the entire league. You let their defense shut you down. That's terrible. And when you're supposed to be a contending team, you can't have losses like this. The Dallas Cowboys. That was horrendous. Like, you have Dak back, and you basically go down 30-0 to the damn Broncos? Yikes. And the Carolina Panthers, too. Like, that's a yikes show and a half. The dumb dicks invested so much of their draft capital in 2020 in the first round in 2021 on the defensive side of the ball. And then, oh, look, they're scoring 6 fucking points. They made the move to go bring in Sam Darnold. Gee, it's almost like that was a dumb dick thing, and you passed on both Justin Fields and Mac Jones. They're going to look like clowns potentially for fucking years for doing so. Yeah, they deserve all the shit because they look like losers here. They absolutely do. In terms of my game balls for the week, Justin Fields. I know the numbers aren't the best, and yeah, there's certainly some Bears bias here. But for a young man that's had some rough starts as a rookie, like, this was a really good one against a pretty good Steelers defense. And even when you look at when he was able to get out from the Nagy spell and you were able to allow him to employ his athleticism and utilize his arm strength and his mobility and his running ability, like, this young man made big things happen and put his team late in a position to win it. Just because the Desai defense fucking sucks a cock, it's not Justin Fields' fault that they lost that game. So, 291 yards passing, a touchdown, and 45 rushing yards. Like, Fields had a good moment against a good defense on prime time. Jonathan Taylor had 21 total touches, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cordero Patterson, I got to give him props. He had 6 receptions for 126 yards, being a big part of Atlanta being able to beat the Saints. And again, another indictment on Matt Nagy. He had Cordero Patterson. Look what he did in Chicago versus what he's doing right now in Atlanta. When you look at defensive units, you got to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, they shut the Bills down, held them to 6 points. It was the reason they won this game on Sunday. That's impressive shit. You got to give it to that unit. They absolutely deserved it. And then in terms of coaches, I could look at Urban Meyer and say that was a great performance by them. But I'll go with Cliff Kingsbury. When you're without Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, other guys, and you're able to go in there with Colt McCoy and spank a divisional opponent, like, you deserve props. Like, you are clearly right now, to me, the coach of the year, and I don't even know how close it could be. But to close this all out, my 2-minute drill, I did want to talk about somebody else. And I wanted to talk about the damn Raiders. Why does Mike Mayock still have a job? I know the Raiders right now have a winning record, and maybe you don't want to upset things. But inevitably, this is a house of cards that's going to crumble upon itself, don't you? I mean, this track record of his is abysmal. Multiple third-round picks that never suited up for the team. All this talk about the Khalil Mack trade and Amari Cooper trade and all the first-round picks they got in return. It doesn't fucking matter if you don't know what the hell you're doing with them. Like drafting Cleveland Farrell 4th overall. Who the fuck does that? And then you look at last year's first round. They reached for one guy in Arnett. You could argue reached slightly for Ruggs, but maybe that's just more of a reflection of there were just other better receivers on the board that should have went ahead of him. But while they maybe can't control the Henry Ruggs thing, I'll give them that. That shit happens. So you have to release him. Then the Damon Arnett shit happens. Maybe that's something you couldn't have anticipated with background checks. Maybe you should have. But at some point in time, there has to be some accountability here. You have both of your first-round picks are now gone. Your draft record is fucking abysmal. And let this serve as a reminder that a lot of these talking heads or these so-called draft experts that you see on TV, maybe they're better in their little niche when they don't actually have to make the decisions, because if we use Mike Mayock as the template for anything, nobody else could fucking do that job. Because he sure the hell can at this point. Holy fuck. That's an embarrassment. That's a joke. Multiple first-round picks from the same draft, and they're gone. Overall, your first round picks, reaches, garbage, gone. You look at the other picks in other drafts and other rounds. Sure, you have the Max Crosbys of the world and so forth, but you have a lot of reaches and a lot of misses and a lot of bust garbage gone. And that's where the hell Mike Mayock should be at the end of this season. Garbage gone.